never thought that a simple school could hide such dark secrets. My name is Mark, and I joined Westfield High last fall. I was new and desperate to fit in. I wanted to be accepted by the popular kids, even if it meant doing things I would later regret. At first, things seemed normal. I was quiet and kept to myself until a small group of students noticed me. They said I had a look that fit with their club. They did not tell me much about it at first, just that I needed to prove I was brave enough to join. I was so desperate to belong that I agreed without a second thought. The first few nights, the tasks were small. They made me do harmless pranks on teachers and push around younger kids. I told myself it was just a way to break in, a simple test to show that I was ready to be one of them. But little did I know, things were about to take a turn for the worse. One chilly evening, after a long day at school, they told me to meet them at the old abandoned wing of the school. This place was never used and had been locked for years. I felt a strange mix of fear and hope as I crept through dark hallways lit only by my small phone light. The walls were covered in peeling paint and old faded signs that once meant something. Low winds seemed to whisper through the broken windows. When I reached the room, I found a few of the group waiting in the shadows. They told me that the next step of the rite of passage was to complete a dare in front of hidden cameras. My heart hammered in my chest as I realized that this was no more than a cruel trick. They pushed me to stand in the middle of the empty room and forced me to do things that made me feel small and ashamed. I remember feeling a deep chill run down my spine as I heard muffled laughter and harsh words from behind me. The tasks grew more dangerous and painful as the night wore on. I was forced to perform degrading acts and the cameras captured every moment. The cold concrete floor, the dim light, and the sound of my own shaky voice made everything feel unreal. I felt trapped, both physically and in my own mind, knowing that I had no way out. The faces of my so-called friends were twisted, in smirks, and I could tell they took some kind of pleasure in watching me crumble. I left that night with more than just bruises on my skin. I carried heavy scars inside that I could not share with anyone. I tried to forget the shame and pain, but the memory stayed with me every time I walked through the halls of Westfield High. Whispers began to spread among students, rumors about what happened in that abandoned wing. Some said that I had been too weak to be one of them, while others whispered that the group was getting more dangerous with each day. A few weeks later, I mustered the courage to speak with one of my teachers, Mr. Carter. I told him everything that had happened, hoping that someone would stop the cruelty. Mr. Carter listened carefully and promised to look into the matter. I thought for a moment that I might finally see some justice. But as days passed, it became clear that nothing would be done. The school board was more concerned with the school's image than with the pain I had endured. The circle of torment stayed intact, and the teachers and administrators did little to protect us. I now see that my need to belong led me into a nightmare. I often think of that cold night in the old wing, the echo of cruel laughter, and the unyielding pressure of wanting to be accepted. It still gives me chills. I know that many others at Westfield High have hidden their own stories of pain and fear. The halls whisper these secrets at night, and the shadows seem to watch us with silent judgment. I still walk through the school, feeling a mix of fear and sadness. I know that I will never forget what I was forced to do. I also know that the secret club, with all its hidden cameras and dangerous dares, will continue to haunt those who dare to be different. That night changed me forever, leaving a mark that I cannot erase. Even now, years later, I sometimes wake in the middle of the night, hearing the echoes of that terrible night, and I wonder if the secret is still safe in the dark corners of Westfield High. I was never one of the top students, but I watched many people there with awe and fear. Ridgeway High was known for its high marks and strict rules. The hallways were always busy, and every room held secrets that no one wanted to talk about. I saw one student, Michael, who everyone said had it all: a bright future, top grades, and awards for nearly every club. Yet, there was something off about him, something that no one could really explain. At first, I noticed small, strange, Things about Michael. Even though he looked calm in class, I sometimes caught him looking over his shoulder, as if he was being watched. One day, I saw him in the bathroom, hands trembling as he stared at his locker. His eyes looked scared, and I felt a chill run down my back. Soon, whispers started among the students. They said Michael was under so much pressure that he had begun taking prescription drugs to help him get through the day. I did not believe it at first, but the signs were there. A few weeks later, my friend Mark, who was close to Michael, came running into the library. His face was pale and his hands shook as he told me what he had seen. Mark said he had been near Michael's locker after class when he accidentally discovered a small bag hidden behind some books. The bag was full of pills. His voice trembled as he explained how he almost dropped the bag when he realized what it was. That day, the rumor spread fast. Students began to talk about an underground network of stressed kids trading pills in secret. The pressure at Ridgeway High was too high, and it seemed many could not bear it anymore. After that, the school changed. I walked the halls and felt the weight of eyes watching me from dark corners. Every time I passed an open door, I heard hushed voices talking about Michael and his secret. He began to disappear more often, and the rumors grew louder. One chilly afternoon, I heard a loud knock in the empty corridor near the main office. I later learned that a teacher had tried to talk to Michael, but he ran as if he was running from a ghost. The administration held meetings and made promises to help, but nothing changed. It was as if the truth was buried under layers of fear and silence. One night I could not shake the worry that had built inside me. I lay awake thinking of Michael and the dark secret that seemed to devour him from within. I decided to take a walk around the school grounds after dark, hoping to find an answer or some clue to ease my mind. As I strolled near the old gym, I noticed a light coming from a classroom window. My heart pounded as I crept closer. I could hear soft, muffled voices coming from inside. Peeking through the glass, I saw Michael with a group of students. Their faces were drawn and full of anger and fear. Michael clutched a bottle of pills, and the group circled him. In that moment, a wave of terror washed over me. I felt like I was watching a scene that should never happen, a moment that sealed our fate. I ran away so fast that I barely knew where I was going. The next day, the school was filled with a heavy silence and whispers. Michael had vanished after that night. Teachers and administrators tried to cover up the truth with meetings and promises, but it was too late. The story of Michael and his secret spread like wildfire, and soon Ridgeway High felt more like a battleground than a place of learning. I still walk the halls with a heavy heart, remembering the strange noises and the eyes that seemed to follow me in every shadow. I often wonder if I could have done more, if I had spoken up sooner to help Michael. The cost of perfection and the burden of secret suffering left a mark on all of us. I tell my story now not to scare anyone, but so that others might learn from our pain. Ridgeway High may look like any other school, but beneath its bright lights and busy halls, a dark secret still lingers. I will always remember that terrible night by the old gym and the sound of muffled voices that made my skin crawl. Even now, I feel the chill of that moment every time I hear a knock in a quiet hallway. I do not know if the pain will ever truly end, but I hope that by sharing this, I can help break the silence that keeps these secrets alive. I never thought that a simple idea could bring so much trouble into my life. My name is Jake, and I was a regular student at a small high school in a quiet town. I was always a bit curious about the hidden things around me, and I wanted to show the truth about my school. One day, I made an anonymous social media account to share stories about what really happened behind the school's closed doors. At first, I just posted small things. I wrote about the mean words that some teachers said when no one was listening, and the unfair ways some students were treated. I used easy words to tell my story, hoping that people would see the truth. I did not use any hard language because I wanted to reach everyone. In the beginning, my posts got a lot of praise. Some students said that I was brave, and even a few teachers hinted that things needed to change. But then, things began to change in ways I never expected. I started to hear strange noises in the hallways when I was alone late after school. I thought it was just my mind playing tricks on me. At first, I shrugged it off as the wind or a door that was not closed right. Soon, I began to see a shadow move slowly near the school's back door. I could not tell if it was just a trick of light or someone watching me. As my posts grew bolder, I began to reveal more details. I wrote about students who were bullied because of who they were, and teachers who exploited their power. I mentioned names and places that many in the school knew well. For a while, my account was seen as a voice of truth. But the moment I implicated some of the popular students, the mood shifted. Friends turned cold, and I felt an icy isolation set in. I started getting anonymous messages that made my heart race. They were short, mean, and sometimes full of strange symbols that I could not understand. One night, after posting another story, I sat in my room when I heard a soft knock on my window. I looked up and saw a dark figure outside, standing still as if it were waiting for me to come out. I felt a chill run down my back, and I immediately shut the window. I did not know if the person was real or if my mind was playing tricks on me because of all the stress. I slept very little that night, and my dreams were filled with warnings and dark eyes. The next day at school, everything felt off. I noticed that people avoided my eyes in the hallways. I could see whispers and felt the cold stares of those who once called me a hero. The teachers who once hinted that things needed to change now looked at me with suspicion. I started to get messages on my phone that told me to stop what I was doing, or else face the consequences. The words were simple and direct, but the threat behind them was clear. I tried to ignore the warnings and continued to post my stories. With every post, the tension in the school grew thicker. Some days I would hear the sound of footsteps following me on my way home, even though I was alone on the street. I began to feel like I was always being watched. I could not tell if it was a friend, a foe, or just my own fear making me see things that were not there. Then came the night that changed everything. I was home late after one of my posts when I heard the familiar soft knock on my window. This time, I did not hide. I slowly walked to the window and looked outside. In the faint glow of the streetlight, I saw a face that I recognized from one of my posts. The person was standing there with a cold, empty look. I felt trapped, like I was in a bad dream that I could not wake up from. I quickly shut the window and called a friend, but the call was dropped mid-sentence. I never found out who was behind that face. The threats grew, and I eventually stopped posting. Now, as I sit in my dark room, I wonder if my words caused more harm than good. The school is quieter now, and the whispers have turned into fearful silence. I still get calls in the dead of night and messages that vanish before I can read them. I live with the constant fear that one day, the truth I tried to show will come back to haunt me. I share my story now as a warning. Sometimes the search for truth can bring dark shadows that are best left alone.